Do you believe that the power of storytelling and the bond with our pets can bring healing and joy into our lives? Today, we're diving into a conversation that touches the soul, how stories of hope and unconditional love can change lives. We're excited to welcome Kim Lengling, an author and podcast host who's on a mission to toss nuggets of hope into the world through her heartwarming anthologies and her podcast, Let Fear Bounce. Kim reminds us how small acts of kindness and the love of our furry friends can create ripples of positivity in our lives. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Imagine a world where the lines of reality blur with the fantastical. Embark on journeys from humble beginnings to the pinnacles of literary greatness. On the Writer's Corner, we delve into the lives of unique wordsmiths, known for their compelling storytelling. They are artisans who craft fantastical realms, etched in our memory long after the final page is turned. Every tale begins with a single word, a single idea. Authors create sensations that keep you on the edge of your seat. Witness how they transform setbacks into stepping stones. Use refusals to spark growth and turn rejections into catalysts for new inspiration. Witness the diversity in writing as it gives birth to a vast array of genres, from drama to mystery to children's stories, fantasy, and reality. Join us as we uncover sources of inspiration and the magic that defines the author's craft. Find out how authors breathe life into their characters and meticulously craft narratives and plots that captivate readers. Get a sneak peek into upcoming works and join us as we celebrate literary greatness only on the Writer's Corner. We don't just celebrate best-selling Amazon and New York Times authors, but also indie authors. Join us on the journey from the birth of a tale to the creation of a masterpiece, only on the Writer's Corner live show. Stay tuned.
If you have just joined us, then welcome to the Writer's Corner live show. And if you are not yet following us on our social media channels, please do, because that way you'll get notified when we go live on the Writer's Corner live show. I'm Bridgetti Limbanda from Cape Town in South Africa, and in today's show, we're going to be talking to Kim Lengling. Our live stream is brought to you courtesy of Creative Edge, StreamYard, and BeLive Media. But before we welcome Kim to come and join us on the show, I first want to say hello to my friend and co-host, Mary Elizabeth Jackson. And if you haven't yet met Mary, she is a multiple #1 Amazon best-selling author and certified special needs and disabilities advocate. And she's dedicated much of her life to empowering underrepresented voices through her writing and advocacy. She's also a speaker, educator, ghostwriter, and songwriter. Mary, how are you today?
I'm very good. It's nice to be here, and it's nice to have our guests back on the show. It's been a long time, but we are big fans of this guest of ours today. It's nice to see you in all your red, and I'm in blue, so we're sort of patriotic because you've got your pearls on, so we got red, white, and blue going on a little bit here, right?
Right. And I am looking forward to talking to Kim. We always love welcoming new authors to our show. And to those of you who've not yet met Kim, she is a multi-published author and podcast host dedicated to spreading hope and positivity. Kim is the driving force behind the podcast Let Fear Bounce, and she highlights individuals making a positive impact in life. But her love for animals, nature, and storytelling shines through in her collaborative series, When Grace Found Me, also anthologies, When Hope Found Me, Paw Prints on the Couch, and she's got that book with her, and also Paw Prints on the Kitchen Floor.
Love it.
I know. Very unusual titles. And so living with PTSD inspired her mission to offer encouragement through her work, reminding us that hope can always be found, even in the darkest times. So without any further ado, shall we welcome her to come and join us on the show?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for
Welcome.
having me. Well, that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. And you deserve it. You're out there carrying the torch for a lot of people and a lot of reasons in the world. So we're grateful for that. And we're going to jump right in because we want to get all our questions in. Sometimes we don't. Okay, your anthologies are filled with hope and resilience, which is so beautiful. And how has writing these stories changed the way you see your own journey with PTSD? And so many more people have PTSD, excuse me, than before the pandemic. So many, it just, it took the numbers astronomical, didn't it?
It seemed to, yes. And for me, I'm one that since I've lived with PTSD for so long, I can notice certain mannerisms in other folks. It's easier for me to notice, I guess, and I'm incredibly empathetic. So it's easier for me to notice that with folks. And I know, like you mentioned, since the pandemic, it has gone sky high, it seems. And the way it's changed me or how I look at the world is, you know, fear has no place in our lives. You can't live your life in fear. You can't live day to day with fear. Fear of failure, fear that you're not enough, and that seemed to be very prevalent fear, back a few years. And so I started this, my Nuggets of Hope journey and the Let Fear Bounce podcast, and then starting these collaborative book series, all these anthologies, getting these people from all over the world to share their stories. I wanted them to all be positive and hope filled and bring a smile to people's faces instead of, folks fearing what may be coming next, because we don't need to fear that. Just, open your eyes every day. There's something beautiful to see no matter where you live. And that's my personal feeling. And so that's kind of how my outlook changed. I'm looking for hope and finding little hopeful nuggets more and more since the pandemic.
I think one just becomes more attuned to looking for those nuggets. But I'm curious. I want to know, what is it about animals that you think resonates so deeply with readers, and why do you believe their stories are worth sharing with the world?
Well, most of the time I prefer animals over humans. That's, seems to be
In a
that
nutshell.
way. Yeah, in a nutshell. But I just on my own journey, my dogs that I've had over the years have been so beneficial to my life and have enriched my life each day in many little ways. And as one who lives with PTSD, and I don't like to, hammer on that, but some days are not great. Some days are worse than others, and some days are tough. And with PTSD, that comes with, anxiety, panic attacks, flashbacks, nightmares, depression, a whole host of things. Now, that's not all happening all at the same time every day, but some days are better or worse than others. And my dogs have always been very in tune with me and are able to redirect me, refocus my brain. So, and everyone has went through some sort of trauma in their life. And if they haven't yet, they will. That's just life. Life happens.
Just
And
when, not if, it's when.
right, exactly. And sometimes as humans, we get overwhelmed and your brain just gets on I call it a swirl. It just gets on a swirl. And it's very hard sometimes to pull yourself out of that if you don't have someone there or something there to refocus you. And my dogs have done that for me. And over the years, talking to other folks, and I'm a big advocate on rescuing animals, like, getting your animals from a shelter, adopting and not shopping. I'm a big advocate for animals and veterans. Those are my two main passions. But over the years, talking to other veterans and other folks, their animals have had such a positive, loving impact on their lives. And I thought, you know what? I want to reach out to some folks and see if they'd be willing to share their story, because there are people sitting out there that might be sitting in darkness and they're just waiting for that one story to land in their hands. And if I'm able to be the person that tosses that out there and they're able to catch it, all the better.
Absolutely. Okay, I do want to ask you a question that's not on our question as a parent of a child with PTSD, what one thing would you give them to help your child if they had PTSD?
I honestly, you cut out and I didn't hear the first half of your question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. If you're a parent with a child who has PTSD, what is one thing you could tell that parent to help that child?
Wow. Listen. Don't just hear. Listen. Because their fears, their anxiety, their nightmares, whatever it is that might be going on in their head, it's so real. It is so real. Don't discount them. Truly listen. You might not be able to understand, but truly listen. And don't just hear and say, oh, okay, well, maybe if you do this or if you do that. Just truly listen. And you know what? To me, the biggest thing, open up your arms. Just say, come here, sweet pea. Give them a big old hug. Let them know that you're there and that you might not understand, but you are there for them and you actually hear them.
Okay. That's very, very important. And I don't know, something just that asked her that question. And you know, we love all that you're doing so much, and you've brought multiple authors to create anthologies that you're doing. What's the most surprising or touching story that you've encountered in your process? Because I'm sure there have been a lot. Because Brigetti and I've been in some, and there's some stories you just go, whoa, right, Brigetti?
Yes, there are. Wow. There are so many, and it's hard to think of just one. There's a theme, especially with the pet books. There's a theme where the owners, they'll say, you know, when I rescued this pet, it wasn't them, it wasn't me rescuing them. They rescued me, or they were a big thing that I've noticed a lot in the last two books was grief, and how the pets have helped their pet parents get through the grieving process, have helped. It feels as if to them that they take a little bit of the weight because of that unconditional love that the pet gives, or that pet intuitively knows when their human needs something or when their human needs them to be just snuggled up to them. That seems to be the theme I've seen. And it's the same with my own dogs that I've had over the years. But grieving, like the loss of a spouse or a child or a loved one or a dear friend, animals, I have found from the other stories and the other co-authors that their animals have helped them tremendously to get through that grief, that grieving period.
Now, following on Mary's question to you now, you've also got a podcast called Let Fear Bounce, and that shines a light on individuals who make a difference. Have you had any particular story on your podcast that stood out for you?
It stood out. Wow. I've had over 200 guests and there's been quite a few that stand out. We never realize just what someone's life has been like. You know, you get someone's bio and maybe a copy of their book, and then you talk to them for a half an hour. And on my show, I have found that the conversations typically go way more personal than any of us anticipated. And we roll with it. And there's never been a problem with that. There's been a couple that, one gentleman, he lost his wife to brain cancer at a very young age. And they had a very young son. And he was beyond grieving. But he still had to work full time and still had to take care of his young son. And he felt like, you know, his neighbors and friends and family, they didn't know how to deal with him because he didn't know how to deal with his grief, and he didn't know what to do. And his son is the one who brought him out of it and said, why can't we do something for other people like mommy, that were sick like mommy was? And they started the Sunshine Basket, I believe it was called. I think that's what it was initially called, where they made baskets. His son and his father made baskets up and took them to other folks that had brain cancer. And it was his son who brought him out of that deep, deep despair that he was in. And years later, they're still doing it, and it's become like a nationwide thing. So it's wasn't a pet that did it, but it was his son. That's one of the stories that's always going to stick with me, I think.
That is so beautiful. Wow. Very, it kind of brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it? But what a way to figure out how to come out of a place that was really dark and to take it more into the light and have resiliency. That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. In
I
your
call that distraction therapy.
yes,
Because it's something that takes the focus away from yourself, and you're focusing on helping someone else. And in the process of helping someone else, you're helping yourself.
yeah.
And I've noticed over the years, and because I'm a veteran and I'm a big veteran advocate, so I am regularly doing stuff through my veteran post and in the veteran community in my area. And I've noticed over the years that those with PTSD and those with, they're carrying some pretty heavy weight. Those are the ones that are the worker bees. Those are the ones that volunteer to help. Those are the ones that give their heart to what it is that they're passionate about. And those are the ones that are always, always helping people. I have found that to be so true over the years, that those that help the most are the ones that actually carry a pretty heavy weight themselves.
And it's wonderful they have a space to do that.
And I think it's part of their therapy. Like you said, they're just, and I know I get busy. When I have a tough day, I got to refocus, got to change, got to change that mindset. I get busy. I either clean my house, or I go do something for somebody else, help someone out, or I go for long walks with my dog. It's your own distraction type thing. But I've found over the years that, yeah, there's most of the volunteers I know have some sort of trauma in their past.
Yeah, I think lots of people do. I have not met very many people who didn't have something, if you live long enough, for sure. So in Paw Prints on the Couch, what's one story? I know we keep asking you this because you have so many stories, right, Virginie? We want to hear them all. It stands out to you, and how does it reflect the broader theme of unconditional love? And that's what our animals represent. I mean, they're walking, breathing, living, such great examples for us.
The one in Paw Prints on the Couch, that was the first one. That one came out last August. And I'm going to say it's the story about my own dog, Digger. That's the one that's always going to stick with me, because it was a dream that I had after he passed away. And it was such a strong, realistic dream. And he had visited me. Digger had visited me in my dream, and he was visiting me from heaven and telling me that he was walking with God now, taking all his daily walks with God, and him and God talked about me, and that they were always watching out for me. And that was a dream that I had. And I wrote that, put that down on paper, and I put that was like the final story in Paw Prints on the Couch. And that's something that's always going to stick with me. Always, always, always. Because it was so powerful. It was so powerful. It was about 3 weeks after I had to say goodbye to him. He was 14, and he had done his job here on earth, and he had done it very, very well. And it comes, there's always a day that comes that you have to say goodbye. And we just have to remember that how blessed we were for the years that we had. So that dream, I shared that in to close out that first book.
Yeah, Mary and I also just recently said goodbye to our furry friends. And
I was just thinking about that. I was like, we both have been through that just in the last month and a half. Yeah.
It's really hard. It's just so dang hard. And when, I had to say goodbye to Digger. It's been almost 7 years ago, and I tear up every time still thinking about him. He's that one, I don't know if you've had multiple pets, but I have throughout my lifetime. You love them all. You love them all, but there's always one, and Digger was that one for me, So yeah, here I am getting all teared up thinking about him already, but in a good way,
Oh my goodness. How does spending time with your dog and being outside in nature play a part in your creative process?
It plays, I think, 90% of what it is I do. Uh, I love being outside, and I'm outside as often as I can be. And my dog and I, we take long walks, sometimes more than one each day. Being outside for me is that's where I can breathe the best. And that's how I always explain it. I can breathe the best out there. That's where I pray. That's where other ideas come to me. You know, when you're walking through a section of woods and the only thing you hear is the crunch of leaves and twigs under your feet and the way the sun is like dappled on the ground because it's filtering through the leaves and the branches of the trees, or you have that soft breeze blowing and all you can hear are the leaves, you know, gently whispering as they dance. It's the most peaceful, beautiful thing. And to me, it's spiritual. It's a spiritual thing because it's like, look what God created and I'm a part of it. Wow.
That's so beautiful. Yes, and I can totally relate to everything that you're saying. And it's just such a great place to go and calm down because the energy out there is the same vibration as we are. That's why, you know, there's always that suggestion to go out in nature because it's so quiet compared to the world and our homes and apartments and cars and the phones and the TVs and blah, 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 all that. And here we are online right now, you know, outside is so much quieter. So, and this is a good question for us, Borgetti and I asking you, but actually everyone else there that's out there listening or watching. How do you balance the need to write about hope while addressing the challenges living with PTSD, and one reflects off the other, you know?
When I have a tough day, I find that I automatically, now I didn't used to, but it's one of the tools I pull out of my little toolbox, that I will automatically sit there and say, Kim, all right, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What can you taste? What do you smell? And I try and incorporate all five senses. And then just, it seems like naturally now, little stories will come to me or little bits and pieces. And I'll be like, oh, I got to write that down. If I'm out walking, I can speak it in my phone and save it in my notes in my phone. But that seems, I try and incorporate all five senses. And I have found that to be a really good practice for me. And another thing that works for me when, if I'm outside and like I said, I'll speak into my phone, or as soon as I get back in the house, I write haiku. And that seems to bring my thoughts clarity, because with a haiku, it's by syllable, 5-7-5, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. So you have to get that thought very succinct and very short. And I found that that's a good practice for me too, to get my thoughts back on track where they need to be.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Now, if you could toss just one nugget of hope into the world, what would it be, and why do you think it would be so important?
Okay. And I actually literally do give nuggets of hope to people, if you can see those. I approach people that I feel nudged to approach, and I hand them to them and simply say, I'd like to give you a nugget of hope today. Be blessed. And then I walk away. But my nugget of hope to all of you out there right now that might be listening is, remember, and you might be sitting in a really dark spot. You might be having a really poopy day right now. Remember that there's a reason that you're here. You are not unworthy. You are not uncared for, and you are not unloved. You might feel like that, but you're not. You are worthy. You are cared for, and you are loved. And one thing I want you to do is, at the end of the day today, look in the mirror as you're brushing your teeth or whatever, doing your nighttime routine. Look in the mirror, and no matter what it is that you've been through, no matter what's happened to you in the past, no matter what trauma you're carrying, you're still standing. And that means that you have a 100% success rate of making it through the tough stuff. Holy cow. It doesn't get better than 100% success rate. So look in the mirror and remind yourself of that, because you are one tough cookie. You're tougher than you realize, and the world needs you. That's my nugget.
Wow. Why don't you hold that stone up again? I think it's absolutely amazing.
I love it. I love it. Yes, it's great. And can you hold your book cover up so everybody can see it?
So the newest release that just happened just a few days ago is, and this is my proof copy, Paw Prints on the Kitchen Floor. So there you have it.
Can you, so I know, isn't that funny, the print that goes across it? Yeah, I know you just want to cover it up. Let's take a Sharpie. So give us a little bit of snippet for this one. Can you do that?
Yes. Okay. And I will share a little bit of the foreword, because my dog Dexter.
Oh, hi, Dexter.
He wrote the foreword.
Okay.
He's a very smart dog. Okay. So the foreword, this is again from Dexter. And he is a 7-year-old Belgian Malinois Mastiff mix rescue. So it says, hey there, I'm Dexter. And yep, I'm a dog. I'm 7 years old, and I'm a Belgian Malinois Mastiff mix, to be exact. And I know what you're thinking. How can a dog write a foreword? I'm not even sure what that word means, but my lady mom says I'm really smart, and she knows how to type. So here we are doing this forward thing. And I'm supposed to tell you a little bit about me. So here we go. I live with my lady mom, and I've been here a while now, and I know I changed her life in a good way. And you want to know how I know that? It's because she tells me so. She says she is blessed because I make her laugh and I give good snuggles. I also like taking her on lots of walks because exercise is good for humans. But I like walks too because I get to sniff everything. And that's what this book is about. Me, you, humans, reading this book, sharing how their pets, whether it's dogs like me, cats who think they rule their houses, or even a super smart, caring horse. They've brought love and goodness into their human's life. And we all have our jobs to do for our humans. And we have lots of jobs to do. And the stories in this book is going to show you how important our jobs are to love our humans.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I've got tears in my eyes. I don't know if Jenny does, but I guess as soon as you started reading in his voice, I just like, okay, I got to hold it together. Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh, Kim, thank you so much for all that you're doing in the world and bringing your spice to this world. Just from your point of view. Thank you so much for that. We really are grateful.
Oh, thank you for having me on the show again. I appreciate it. And I so enjoy spending time with you ladies.
I know. We got to do this offline.
We should.
Yes.
We can set the world to rights, ladies.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Kim, thank you so much. And that was the best foreword in a book ever.
Ever. God, I love it so much. I know. And thank you to our audience everywhere, that everybody who's watching today. We had a Relatable magazine watching us today, which is so cool.
Awesome.
Yay.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And we'll see you back next week, same time, same place, on another episode of the Writer's Corner live show. Goodbye for now. Thank you for joining us on the Writer's Corner live show. 30 minutes of insightful author conversations with some of the biggest names in the industry, including award-winning authors and international indie sensations. Join us on the next episode of the Writer's Corner live show.